Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, guys and gals, children of all ages, I bet you've been asking yourself lately, Jacob, where's the spicy? There's so many of us. We're here for the spicy and nothing else. Well, children, let me tell you where the spicy is, because it's actually quite a story, quite an ordeal. It's a whole thing. I've been taking a break from the spicy and have been meaning to make this video for a while because it's a whole thing. So grab your popcorn, grab your soda, grab your snack of choice, sit down and let me take you on a journey. Alright, so it's no secret that I do the spicy stuff. I eat the spicy food, I do the spicy food challenges, it's whatever. I make the videos, they're fun, it's all in good fun, we have a good time, everything's fine. So, you know, it's a known thing. I'm a known quantity, and you know, it was one of those things where it's like, oh, what is his spice tolerance? What's the limit? Well, who knows? I don't know. Nobody knows, at least until recently. So one of my former coworkers gets me something from the mall, from one of the stores in the mall. And they give it to Sabrina, and they say, hey, give this to Jacob for him to try so he can make a video of it. Because this particular coworker was determined to, to find what my spice tolerance is, where the level, where I cap out, what was too much. And by God, did they find it, I think. So the thing that was given to me, children, was Mr. Johnny Scoville's Tube of Terror Carolina Reaper Peanut Challenge. You see, this is Blazing Foods, creators of the Death Nut Challenge. And I'm going to go ahead and point out now that nowhere on this tube is there any kind of disclaimers or terms of services or anything directing you to any kinds of terms of services or terms and conditions, even though if you go to their website where you can buy anything that they sell in stores, you will find terms and conditions for specifically the Death Nut Challenge, but I'm sure if you looked hard enough you could find terms and conditions for everything else. I used the Wayback Machine and found terms and conditions for the Death Nut Challenge as far back as the year of our Lord 2018. So that's super fun. But on this fucking tube, there's nothing. There's no terms and conditions. All it says to you, if you're the average consumer and you look at it, is it says Tube of Terror Carolina Reaper Nut Peanut Challenge. Now, everybody knows Carolina Reaper can be as high as 2.2 million Scoville heat units. It averages about 1.64, and the Carolina Reaper is kind of the go-to thing that excuse me, companies use when they want to make things spicy. You see all kinds of things out there, right, that say Carolina Reaper on the front of it. And we all get it, and we try it, and we have a good time. And in the grand scheme of things, that's quite the spicy pepper. But the Carolina Reaper is not that bad, especially if you're used to spicy things, especially if you have a high spice tolerance like I do. Carolina Reaper is hot, but it's not that bad. This Tube of Terror, however, is not just Carolina Reaper. And that is where I have an issue. And if you'll begrudge me this time, I would like to take Mr. Johnny Scoville and Blazing Foods to task. And I have, we'll call it evidence, I don't know if that's the correct term, but I have a gut feeling and an inkling that everything I'm about to say is right, that I am in the right, and I will show you why. And let me preface all of that by saying that my gut and its feelings have so far in the 29 years I've been on this planet never been wrong. So, Mr. Johnny Scoville and your Tube of Terror Carolina Reaper Peanut Challenge that you can see here, this is the packaging laid out for you to read. This is what it looks like in the tube. It comes in this little tube here. It's packed full of peanuts, and this is what it looks like. And you see right there, big and bold on the front, Tube of Terror Carolina Reaper Peanut Challenge. And that's all fine and good. Now, here's where it starts to break down. Because when you see Carolina Reaper, you think Carolina Reaper, and you say, oh, well, I've done Carolina Reaper challenges before. Easy peasy, no problem. What's the challenge? No food or drink? Standard. You have 10 minutes to finish the tube. Okay, by only eating 1 to 2 peanuts at a time. Okay, well, I mean, that could be a little difficult, but it's just a tube of peanuts. How hard could it be to finish it in 10 minutes? And then it says you have to endure a 5-minute burn after the final peanut to complete the challenge. Alright, whatever. It's a spicy food challenge. That all seems pretty standard, pretty boilerplate, right? So you grab it, you don't think about it, and you say, this'll be easy peasy. Well, you should have read the fine print. Now, in the video that I made that will never see the light of day, well, you're seeing some of it as B-roll in the background, but anyways, I did read the fine print. I read the ingredients list, but I was in video mode. I was in entertainment mode, so I wasn't thinking about things. I was like, let's laugh this up, let's make some jokes, let's have some yucks. Go through the ingredients list like I always do. Go through the nutrition facts like I always do with everything, but my brain wasn't putting what I was reading together and stopping to think about it. Because right up front, you see Carolina Reaper, as I've said, and if you know anything about Carolina Reaper, as I've said, you say, well, the hottest this could possibly be is 2.2 million Scoville, so that's not that bad. So if you look at the fine print, you will see that it in fact says in the ingredients list, Jumbo XO Virginia peanuts, pure cane sugar, Carolina Reaper, peppers, and then it just says peppers, and it starts to break that down for you. Ghost. Chocolate, don't expect me to pronounce any of these correctly. I understand why peppers are named the way they're named. They're generally named for, like, the regions that they come from, and it's usually, like, you know, regions of the world that are not the United States. But I think that peppers have silly names. I think that the naming conventions of peppers are silly. Anyhow, you have the chocolate Butla pepper, 7-pot brain strain, as named by Jim Carrey, I'm assuming, 7-pot Douglas, Moruga scorpion. Now let's break those down just a little bit. So we've already gone over the Scoville units of the Carolina Reaper, ladies and gentlemen. How about the Ghost Pepper? Well, it has an average of 1 million to 1,041,427 Scoville heat units. But, well, for our purposes, for what we're going to do in a minute, we'll keep it on the low end, right? So we'll just say 1 million. So what about the chocolate Butla pepper? Well, how about 1.5 million Scoville? Tops out at about 2 million, but again, we're going to stick with the low ends for our purposes, so we'll say 2 million Scoville. The 7-pot brain strain, 1.2 million Scoville. 7-pot Douglas pepper, 923,000 Scoville. So it's actually the least hot out of this concoction of bullshit. Moruga scorpion chili pepper, it's 1.2 million Scoville. There we go. So you put all that together, right? You put all that together, and what do you get? You get about 5.9 million Scoville if we just assume that they used extracts, which is probably going to have roughly around the lower ends of the Scoville capabilities of these peppers. You add all of that together and you get 5.9 million Scoville, which isn't that big of a deal, right? Like, that's not that big. Like, it's a little fucky, because that's not Carolina Reaper. That's a little bit more than just Carolina Reaper, even though on the front of the tube all you said was Carolina Reaper, and we know that the average consumer does not read farther than what is directly in front of them in big bold fucking letters. But whatever. 5.29 million Scoville. Who even fucking cares? Who even fucking cares about that, right? Like, I don't care about that. You know why I don't care about that? Because that's not even reaching the level of Mr. Dr. Benorium's Psycho Serum, pure capsaicin extract, which sits at 6.4 million Scoville, which I have had in the back of my mind for a very long time, which I don't think you can buy without a disclaimer. And I think the actual, hang on, let me confirm this really quickly. Yes, the label on it says use with extreme caution as a cooking additive only. And it's pretty clear the ingredient is 6.4 million Scoville capsaicin extract. It says that in big bold letters on the front. So you know what you're getting into with that. 6.4 million, wow, that's pretty fucking spicy. But it's whatever. You add a small, tiny little drop to whatever you're eating, and it packs a big old walloping punch. Dr. Benorium's Psycho Serum is pretty clear about what you're supposed to be doing with it. It's pretty clear about what it is. But that's all to say that adding all those peppers up together doesn't even reach the Scoville level of Psycho Serum. So it's fine, right? No, wrong. Again. So right after you get done reading all of those peppers, you get to sea salt, and then you get to write that little fine print right there. That is the thing that will fuck you up. That should probably be put on the front of the tube. 13M capsaicin crystals. Now 13M could only mean 13 million. So that means in addition to all of this pepper bullshit that they just kind of slid in there, they also coated it in 13 million Scoville capsaicin crystals, which is well and above Doctor. Don't want to discredit the man. He has a doctorate. He maybe went to med school. Who knows? But Dr. Benorium Psycho Serum, which, as we've said, is only 6.4 million Scoville. So anyways, you add all these fucking peppers together, you add the fucking 13 million capsaicin crystals, and what do we get? We get 20.5 million Scoville. We get a completely insane fucking number. For context, boys and girls, most of the strongest pepper sprays you can get gauge about 2 million Scoville. And the hottest pepper that I think exists, Pepper X, yeah, that's 2.6 million Scoville heat units. 2.7 rounded up on average. Okay? That's the hottest pepper to exist. Not even breaking 3. All of this bullshit mixed together and coated in these peanuts, which let me tell you are very well coated, adds up to 20.5 million. So, let me tell you, my capsaicin limit, my heat tolerance is somewhere between 2.2, we're going to say 2.2 million for the Carolina Reaper, somewhere between 2.2 and 20.5 million. Now, the reason I'm so riled up about this, so angry about this, is because I have to be honest, this challenge kicked my fucking ass, because of course it did, because it's 20.5 million Scoville. It's worse than it's well and above worse than getting pepper sprayed. Okay, maybe not necessarily. Pepper spray tends to stick to your skin and it can really fuck you up, but you see my point here. My point is that this is an incredibly, in my personal opinion, dangerous thing to do for something that is not strictly going to be sold on your website, but is going to be available for purchase just at, certain novelty stores in malls across America, gas stations possibly even. And I know exactly where my coworker purchased this from. I'd seen it myself many a time, the display and everything, passed it by many a time, thought about it several times, but always passed it up because I didn't want to pay $20 for this because I'm a very frugal person, and paying $20 to hurt myself just didn't seem like my jam, even for content. As we'll all remember, I didn't buy the Godzilla Bringer of Destruction bar until it was on sale for basically like 80% off. Now, credit where it's due. I don't want to present myself as a dishonest person. If you go to johnnyscoville.com and attempt to purchase the Tube of Terror, you'll be paying $25 for it. But it will tell you, and I quote, "The Tube of Terror, the most mind-numbing, soul-twisting peanut challenge on the market. These XL Virginia peanuts coated in super hot powders and 13 million SHU capsaicin crystals." But beyond that, there's no disclaimer on the initial purchase website that I can see anywhere. Now, again, if you go to blazingfoods.com, you can find a Blazing Foods Death Nut Challenge Terms of Use and Conditions of Consumption disclaimer. It's very boilerplate. It basically says if you buy this product and eat it, you understand that you are assuming all risks, and if you die, then it is not our fault. But if you go to johnnyscoville.com and purchase the Tube of Terror, that's not there. It's certainly not on the tube. Certain places you can get it, like adventuresauces.com was another place I found it, which outright says you have to be 18 and up to purchase. And it has the conditions of consumption listed, right? It also has everything that's in it listed. So at adventuresauces.com, for example, it says, quite frankly, the king of spicy food challenges and the perfect gift for any hot sauce or spicy food lover. Can you handle 30 to 45 of the world's hottest peanuts completely smothered with these insanely hot, tongue-scorching peppers? Carolina Reapers, Trinidad Moruga Scorpion Peppers, 7-pot Brain-Strain Peppers, 7-pot Douglas Peppers, But Joloka Ghost Peppers, all natural, pure Sensation crystals, 13 million Scoville units. Each tube contains enough peanuts for a 5 to 6 person party night challenge. Grab your crew a bucket of beer and a tube of terror. Time to nut up or shut up. Not for the faint of heart, children under the age of 18, elderly people, or anyone with any medical conditions. Not for use by anyone under the age of 18. Do not consume if you have any medical condition. Adventure Sauces LLC and Blazing Foods LLC is not liable for any injuries that may occur from consuming this product. So Adventure Sauces knows what the fuck they're doing. Also, you can get it for $14.99 at Adventure Sauces. I mean, currently, at the time of me looking at this, it's out of stock, but what can you do about that? But Adventure Sauces seem to understand. Adventure Sauces seem to look at this and go, alright, look, this might kill somebody. I think we need to put a few more disclaimers front and center before we let anybody buy this shit. But Blazing Foods and Mr. Johnny Scoville apparently doesn't give a fuck about that. So let's rein it all back in, because I've been rambling for a minute, and I feel like this has kind of been all over the place. So, these peppers will fuck you up, as they did me. Let me tell you, the reason I did not complete this challenge. I gave up halfway through because I started to feel weird. My stomach started to feel queasy. And I know when I should bail on something. I have a pretty good understanding of when my body is trying to tell me things, and I bailed. And after about half an hour, the heat finally subsided, and I said, okay, cool. Then the evening came. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, if you are easily squeamish, then skip ahead, mute the audio for a minute. I'll put up something to let you know when the coast is clear, because this may not be for the faint of heart. So at around 11 o'clock, when I'm trying to hook up my wife's dialysis machine so that she can start her dialysis and go to bed, I just get this really weird feeling in my stomach. One of those uh-oh moments. So I'm like, okay, I gotta go to the bathroom. It's like, I'm sorry. So I do that. And then 20 minutes later, I come hobbling out and I have to tell my wife, hey, you're gonna have to finish setting this up. It's like, something is not right. Because after 20 minutes of trying to use the bathroom, because I thought that's what my stomach was trying to tell me, it had developed into incredibly severe stomach cramps. And I have to tell you, just from my experience, I do not envy what women have to go through once a month, sometimes twice if you're just super unlucky. That shit seems like it really fucking sucks, because I spent the next 45 minutes feeling like my stomach was actually going to explode. And the entire thing culminated in me sitting in a wife beater and my underwear on a fucking metal folding chair in my shower, waiting to either just die or for my body to just get rid of what was in my stomach, one way or another. It chose the latter. Now, I cannot remember the last time that I was sick to the point that I threw up. But I can tell you that this was the most I have thrown up in probably 10 fucking years. Everything that was in my stomach for I would say the last 36 hours was no longer in my stomach. It was a horrible experience. Totally, absolutely awful. And the reason I'm so angry about it is because my spice tolerance is really fucking high. I know it is. I know what I can take. The average person cannot take what I can take. So labeling your tube of terror as Carolina Reaper and leaving everything else behind in the fine print is negligent at best, and the stupidest, most short-sighted, ignorant fucking thing you could possibly do at worst. Because again, we've been over this. The average consumer does not read labels, and even people that do, like me, are probably doing what you would expect them to be doing, which is making a video of them doing the challenge, where they're probably going to try to be a little goofy and entertaining, and maybe not exactly connect all of the dots in their head. Even without the 13 million Scoville capsaicin crystals, the fact that it is almost 4 million Scoville above just Carolina Reaper is kind of fucked up. And here's why I have the gut feeling that I am right. We're finally bringing it around to why I think I'm right. Because if you look at Mr. Johnny Scoville's Tube of Terror 2.0, A, you'll notice that the 13 million Scoville capsaicin crystals are missing. B, you'll notice that right front and center, it lists all of the peppers now. Miraculously, it lists all of the peppers. All of a sudden, it tells you everything that it's coated with. It doesn't just say Carolina Reaper front and center. It tells you everything that it's coated with. Wow, look at that. Who would have thought that that would have been a good fucking idea from the beginning? So I would imagine that the corn nugs are not as difficult. I would imagine that the corn nugs is probably something that I could get through. Maybe one day I will try the corn nugs. I don't know. I haven't decided to fucking trust Johnny Scoville again yet. But the fact that the version 2.0 is labeled so differently and has the 13 million capsaicin crystals removed tells me in my gut that somebody somewhere at Blazing Foods knows that they fucked up. Now, granted, the Carolina Reaper Peanut Challenge has not been updated. The packaging has not been updated, so maybe they know and still just don't fucking care. But I have the strongest suspicion that they know that they made a mistake. That this is going to hurt somebody, possibly kill somebody. And that they were like, well, maybe we should tone it down for the 2.0. And the other reason I know that is because usually when you do a second version of a previous spicy food challenge, you up the ante, right? Like until they discontinued them, that was like the whole deal with the one chip challenge. Every year they upped the ante. Every year the chip got a little bit hotter. No. With the removal of the 13 million Scoville capsaicin crystals, I would say that the corn nugs have been toned the fuck down. So I just have a sneaking suspicion that somebody somewhere knows that they made a big fucking mistake. So that's the whole gist. That's the whole arc of this manga. That's the twist for this season, or whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. And the takeaway, the story, the thing that I want to impart to you children is that it is extremely irresponsible for any companies out there, now it's all companies that want to do spicy food challenges. For the most part, it's anecdotal, and from what I've seen, the spicy food community, we're not a very serious bunch. Okay, we know what we're getting into usually. We eat the spicy food. It hurt. Sometimes it hurt more later, but we have a good time. We have a good time, and we say, "Oh, good job. That was really spicy. You really made a banger." But I'm starting to think that companies are getting a little too comfortable just throwing around Carolina Reaper and throwing around Ghost Pepper, and you just slap that on the front, and then you just ship it and you call it good. The reality of the situation is not everybody that picks this thing up to try it is going to be smart enough to read the ingredients list. If they are, they may not be smart enough to realize that that is well and above what they would be getting into if it were just Carolina Reaper, like you seem to be implying. And if they're not as well versed in capsaicin, or how to attempt to negate the effects of capsaicin, or even what to do when your body is trying to reject everything in your stomach from too much capsaicin. I'm just saying, this is not a joke, this is not hyperbole. I have eaten a lot of spicy shit on this channel. I eat a lot of spicy shit in my own time. I am a man that puts hot sauce on his eggs and hot sauce in his spaghetti. I think I've said before, a little separate pan of spaghetti sauce gets made for me, and it gets made spicy. I'm a man that enjoys his capsaicin. I'm a man that enjoys spicy things. I thought I was gonna have to go to the fucking hospital. And I only ate half the goddamn tube, and it wasn't even on an empty stomach. So I know the math doesn't necessarily work out the way that I worked it out, but it kind of the 13 million. There's no estimating that. Everything else was just kind of an estimate. I assumed that for the peppers they use extracts, right? So if you use extracts, then you're gonna get, close to roughly what just eating the pepper would be if you're using an extract to make a coating for something. And I went with the lower ends of the spectrums for these peppers. I took the lowest one, the averages, or the lowest one for all of them. That's what I did. And it came out to 20.5 million Scoville, which is completely fucking insane, and I think probably the hottest thing on shelves. And the fact that you just simply had it labeled as Carolina Reaper peanut it's just fucking irresponsible. It's irresponsible, and that's my biggest problem with it. I love spicy food. I love doing spicy food challenges, but you cannot be out here doing this shit. And I believe that I know that you know that I'm right, and that's why the Tube of Terror 2.0 is so vastly different. Why it has the 13 million capsaicin crystals removed and all of the peppers listed front and center. That's why I believe it has that. I don't think anybody complained or sued or got seriously hurt yet, because it's still on shelves, from the Carolina Reaper Peanut Challenge, but I think somebody somewhere realized that they might have fucked up and maybe they needed to tone it down. So that's why that the 2.0 is so vastly different. So anyways, that was a long video, and that was everything that I had to say about Johnny Scoville's Tube of Terror Carolina Reaper Peanut. I cannot stress enough, do not try this. Period. The Tube of Terror Carolina Reaper Peanut Challenge. Do not try this. Because the other problem I have with it is this is the kind of thing that if my dog had gotten into this and eaten this, I wouldn't have a fucking dog anymore. I'm not a betting man, but I put some chips down that it would have killed my fucking dog. It certainly would have killed my mom. My mom thinks ketchup is too spicy. I wouldn't have a mom anymore. So yeah, under no circumstances can I recommend that anybody try this. And I know I've watched several videos, dozens of videos of people trying this, some completing it even. And let me tell you something about those people.
They're demons. They're frickin' interdimensional invaders, okay? I'll just say it, make fun of me all you want on CNN or wherever, but everyone already innately knows this. These people are not frickin' humans, okay?
Or if they're not, then they're at the very least liars. Because I was willing, I try to be an honest person. You saw a lot of B-roll from the video that I made where I was doing the challenge. I told you that I bailed on it halfway through, and I told you about the aftermath. I heard about no aftermath from any of the other people that did this challenge. I'm not suggesting that I have the highest spice tolerance in the world. There are some people that don't even have capsaicin receptors. Lord, the singer, is one of them. Doesn't have the capsaicin receptors. It's a thing that can happen. You can be born without the receptors in your mouth to detect capsaicin. So when you eat things that are spicy, you don't feel a thing. Nothing. No burn. But I know I have a pretty fucking high spice tolerance. It's somewhere between 2.2 million and 20.5. And this, again, legitimately, not a joke. This is not a joke. This is not for laughs. This is not for the video. This is not a joke. I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. That is how bad it was. So I don't believe for a second that all of these, at least one of them statistically had to be, but I don't believe for a second that all of these people ate this and were fine afterwards. If they completed the challenge, more power to them. My condolences to your sphincter. But I don't believe that they were okay. I don't. I refuse. They were either
frickin' interdimensional invaders, okay?
Or at the very least, fibbers. Alright, so anyways, that has been my long-winded, goofy-ass PSA about Mr. Johnny Scoville and his Tube of Terror, and why I think that the way they had it labeled is fucking irresponsible. I will not be elaborating any further or answering any questions. Probably. I may answer some questions. I guess it really depends on the question. Anyways, thanks everyone for watching. I will see each and every one of you in whatever video comes next. Actual, real spicy food videos will be returning in the future. I've just been taking a break. I'm gonna take a little break from the spicy food. Kind of weaning myself back onto it with, my favorite hot sauces. It was, this was really bad. So yeah, that's it. That's the end of this one. Bye.